I've had a fly living in my living room for a couple of days. A small, persistent and very noisy fly. So I presumed it was young, and I thought of it as he. Latent prejudice can belch to the surface when a person is irritated and under house arrest. Generally, I'm a live and let live person when it comes to non-lethal nature, and I had vaguely thought that the other creatures, the long-standing tenants who also live in my house and who relish a silk-wrapped fly, might be glad of the meal. This lockdown must have affected their rations. But the fly was intent on pestering me. For a full, busy day it pecked at my monitor, scrawled over the large text of poems on the screen, so my eyes were flummoxed, followed by my mouth, and the recording wrecked. Once it even landed on the recording mic itself. I froze as it settled to preening, thinking that at least I'd have an audio track of such intimacy that even Attenborough might admire it. But when I later checked, there was nothing there, just silence. Of course, I tried opening windows, hoping, especially in the second day of our cohabiting, that the outside ambience and the call of the wild would be irresistible. But no. The young creatures seemed most energetic when I was on my couch, fulfilling my daily duty of television watching. He reminded me of those young gorillas in David's beautiful films, who fling their 1-pound body in an attack from the rear on a 25-stone silverback, who, with a gentle tolerance, flicks them off. Absorbed in Netflix, I was not at my most tolerant. There was an old Stroud News and Journal sharing the couch, which I rolled in the time-honoured tradition. Twice I thought I had him, but he was young, and I was no match. Apart from the humiliation of failure, I felt bad that the little creature was so forgiving. He was the one with tolerance. He was seeking my company, perhaps practicing important things for later, and, like the young gorillas, trusting he was safe with me. I hadn't realized he was with me when I went up to the bathroom, but I heard and saw him there. I opened the window and quickly shut the door on him. Hours later he'd gone, and I remembered this poem by D.H. Lawrence, which I'd read at art college in Bristol 50 years ago. Snake. A snake came to my water trough on a hot, hot day, and I, in my pyjamas for the heat, to drink there. In the deep, strange scented shade of the great dark carob tree, I came down the steps with my pitcher and must stand and wait, for there he was at the trough before me. He reached down from a fissure in the earth wall in the gloom, and trailed his yellow-brown slackness soft-bellied down over the edge of the stone trough, and rested his throat upon the stone bottom, where the water had dripped from the tap in a small clearness. He sipped with his straight mouth, soft drank through his straight gums into his slack, long body, silently. Someone was before me at my water trough, and I, like a second comer, waiting. He lifted his head from his drinking as cattle do, and looked at me vaguely as drinking cattle do, and flicked his two-forked tongue from his lips, and mused a moment, and stooped, and drank a little more, being earth-brown, earth-golden from the burning bowels of the earth, on the day of Sicilian July, with Etna smoking. The voice of my education said to me, he must be killed, for in Sicily the black snakes are innocent, the gold are venomous. And voices in me said, if you were a man, you would take a stick and break him now and finish him off. But must I confess how I liked him, how glad I was he had come like a guest in quiet to drink at my water trough, and depart peaceful, pacified and thankless, into the burning bowels of this earth? Was it cowardice that I dared not kill him? Was it perversity that I longed to talk to him? Was it humility to feel so honoured? I felt so honoured. And yet those voices, if you were not afraid, you would kill him. And truly I was afraid. I was most afraid, but even so honoured still more that he should seek my hospitality from out at the dark door of the secret earth. He drank enough, and lifted his head dreamily as one who has drunken, and flickered his tongue like a forked night on the air so black, seeming to lick his lips, and looked around like a god, unseeing, into the air, and slowly turned his head, and slowly, very slowly, as if thrice a dream, proceeded to draw his slow length curving round, and climb again the broken bank of my wall face. And as he put his head into that dreadful hole, and as he slowly drew up, snake-easing his shoulders, and entered farther, a sort of horror, a sort of protest against his withdrawing into that horrid black hole, deliberately going into the blackness and slowly drawing himself after, overcame me now his back was turned. I looked round. I put down my pitcher and picked up a clumsy log and threw it at the water trough with a clatter. I think it did not hit him, but suddenly that part of him that was left behind convulsed in an undignified haste, writhed like lightning and was gone into the black hole, the earth-lipped fissure in the wall front, at which, in the intense still noon, I stared with fascination. And immediately I regretted it. I thought, how paltry, how vulgar, what a mean act. I despised myself and the voices of my accursed human education. And I thought of the albatross, and I wished he would come back, my snake. For he seemed to me again like a king in exile, uncrowned in the underworld, now due to be crowned again. And so I missed my chance with one of the lords of life, and I have something to expiate, a pettiness.